us to do some chatting, if you're there with me. Study guide for chapter 20. Was there, before you even go there, was there something that we were talking about like at the very end of the day yesterday?
Yes, epidurals.
Epidurals. We're talking about epidurals. So I will, let's put a pin in that. Okay? So epidurals. And I'll come back to that. Your question was about this? No, totally different. Okay. All right. You have a question? You can get that printed. I can print it. I don't have it printed to give you right now. I'd be glad to do so. Yes. Would you just remind me when we finish here? So, it's Thursday today. No, it's Wednesday. It's Tuesday. Freudian slip. Sorry. Freudian slip. Tell me about your schedule. Tell me about your schedule. Thursday? Friday? Not next week. It's this week.
Sorry, this week.
Yes.
Right now.
Joe says today. Are you ready?
Friday.
What do we have Thursday? We have something. No. I'm just kidding. You can do it like.
It's not Monday. It can't be Monday.
Well, how much do you have left?
We're gonna finish off a little pieces today, and then we basically talked about this chapter. Okay.
I would say Thursday or Friday.
Put your heads down. Put your heads down.
I don't know.
Thursday or Friday are your choices. Thursday or Friday. Put your heads down. Put your heads down. Did you guys ever play Thumbs Up? 7 Up?
Oh, I hated it.
Ah.
They would always play it on days that had like those sweatpants that are like plastic. So they would always know what
They would cute. Nice. All right, heads down. Ready? I'm not sure why I'm recording this for YouTube. If you would like it to be Thursday, please raise your hand. Thursday, raise your hands. Good. Hands down. If you want it Friday, please raise your hands. Good. Friday it is. As I figured. Friday, chapter 20. It's perfect. Truthfully, if we need to keep going, we will do that, because there are little pieces of things that we still have to get to from other places. Your final exam is going to be Tuesday. So remember, finals are Friday. Then we have the weekend. You have Memorial Day, and then Tuesday and Wednesday. So you are Tuesday is the test for this. I will be giving you, I didn't get a chance to finish going through it today, so tomorrow I will give you like what to expect. It is cumulative, but it's pieces. It's pieces. Tomorrow. Yeah, it'll be pieces.
So after this, are we starting to review?
We're going to do a couple of things, a couple of systems we're going to hit just brief hits.
Are they going to be on the
And they'll be on the final. There won't be another test. There won't be another test between now and then.
Can we do a revote?
And I am shamefully behind on your grades, and I apologize. I have tests that need to be put in. I'll just give you all. I'll toss them down the stairs. Top ones are A's, B's, C's, D's. How's that? Sound all right? Maybe not. Real light, top step only. I got you. So there'll be some discussion as far as redos go. Set your mind at ease as far as that goes, okay? I will give you some opportunities. That's on me. Epidurals. Let's talk about epidurals. So what we were mentioning yesterday, talking about the labor and delivery piece. The point of an epidural is that it will significantly decrease pain. What they're doing is they are putting like a numbing agent right into your spinal cord. The same kind of thing, not exactly, but same kind of thing. So that basically it's going to decrease the amount of pain you have. Trouble is, if you put too much of it, it can like temporarily make you unable to feel things below your waist. not quite paralyzed, but you with me? Like you can't tell where things are. For my wife on our first, for Alex, it was a little too high. Her epidural was a little too high, a little too much medicine. And so she had a hard time, how she describes it, feeling where to push. Because you're supposed to kind of bear down like you're trying to help push this baby out. But she said she couldn't feel, because it was so high, she couldn't feel where to do that. So it took longer for her to do it, to have Alex, than I think it would have been otherwise. Good news is, pain-wise, it didn't really bother her much at all. So that's kind of the trade-off that you get. You are restricted to the bed if you have an epidural. They usually will make you stay in the bed. Because again, you literally have like an IV into your spine that the anesthesiologist puts in. Yeah, very, very few...
That lady did it without epidural.
I would say you are correct.
So
Yes.
what is the pain difference you think for epidural?
There's just definitely a significant pain difference, yes. But there are a lot of other things they do to help make you be as comfortable as possible. Some women like, oh no, I'm a manly woman. I'm going to take the pain. I'm all natural. Cool, if that works for you. So some see it like as a badge of honor. I'm not going to, no medicine for me. Others say, please inject me as soon as I get to the hospital.
Wait,
Yeah.
but so if there's an IV in your spine, is it not like dangerous to move around?
No, it's not. It's not so delicately poised that it would paralyze you. But they just don't want you to be up and about moving around too
But
much.
like if you're in a bed birthing a child, I feel like you're not really accountable for your movement. Do you not move a lot?
You can have some movements, sure. But again, it's not like you're just going to rip it out. It's fairly well put in there. Yes?
Is it true that if you get an epidural, like, it gives you back pain?
There can be back pain that does stick around, yes. Not incapacitating or problematic. I don't know the statistics on it, like how often it happens. I don't know. Be a good question to ask your OB doctor eventually. My wife is a once in a while. She'll get in, and it's right on the spot where I know she had the epidural because I watched them put it in. So, yeah. Again, not incapacitating, but present. Other questions here. We're going to get more into labor delivery again today. So if there are more questions that come up there, but... Did I get it? Okay. Here's what I want to hit today, my friends. Shh. Oh, your question. Yes, ma'am.
So, because like we were talking about the development of a baby or whatever. So like in Bible class, we're talking about like Ben Harrison and the twins and stuff.
Sure.
So why do twins? What happens at like the molecular? Like what happens to? Why are the babies attached at the head? Like is it in the womb?
Sure. Oh, no, it's a good question. I'm going to go to one of these guys. Okay. Did you guys hear Sarah's question? She's asking about twins, in particular like the twins that Ben Carson separated, like when their heads were attached together. So remember there's two ways that twins can form, right? Number one is two separate eggs get released and both get fertilized. Those are what we call fraternal twins, right? Totally different people, different DNAs, different face characteristics, hair characteristics, everything. Different sexes even, could be. The other is identical twins. So when you have that cell, and I don't know exactly when it splits, like how far along it is when it splits, but it would split and make two separate cells, right, that are still identical. If those two cells don't completely separate, then you can have them conjoined. And it can be that they're joined at the hip, they can be joined at the head, there's a lot of different places they can be done. But basically, in his case, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right, they had formed like two separate brains, but there was significant connection between them. And then everything else, they were fine. Right? And so his job was just to try and tease out that tangle.
I read another one today where they're like, their heads were on top of each other.
Yeah.
And their skulls were connected, and they had the same like their brain was like.
Yeah. Amazing detail. I mean, to be able to do what he does, I think is quite impressive. Someone was describing it to me, and I'll get your question, I promise. If you wanted to be a surgeon, a way to practice, like doing what they do, take an orange, peel it, right? And you know how it's got all that white stuff that's all on it still? Even if you peel it real well, there's still a bunch of white stuff on it. Get all that white off without actually damaging the orange, like without getting orange juice coming out. That's the level of like technicality and precision. You know what I mean?
So like, are the babies like, so when they're born, are they just like, do they just grow like that?
They do.
All the weeks or whatever?
Sure, right. I would imagine they would have to be delivered cesarean section. I wouldn't think they'd be able to come out vaginally, but yeah, they would continue to grow until at whatever point they feel they're stable enough to separate. Yeah. Mandy, your question.
There was like a documentary show thing about these twins, but they have the same body, but they have two heads. So does that I saw that documentary.
Sure, right. Instead of it being attached to it, maybe attached to the shoulders.
One that was on this side controlled the right side.
Yeah. So that sounds like their brains, it was actually like kind of two brains together almost. Oh no, you said their bodies.
They had one body, and then it was kind of wide though, and then two heads.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, so I guess like I just got conjoined on the sides here.
Yeah,
And just kind of all grouped together. Interesting. Yeah.
but they had like the normal amount of arms, like two arms.
Yeah, right.
It was like your width.
Right.
Two girl heads.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've seen one just like actually just like
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay. Shh. Back we go. You with me, friends? Shh. I want to talk about this piece right up here. We've already talked about fertilization of pregnancy, how that oocyte changes chemically when one sperm finally does break through. Excuse me. You have your diagram on 541, which I'm not sure that's the right page, is it? Page 540 is what that should say. That's my fault that I didn't change that. Shh. So let's talk about this sequence. I'm going to start throwing things at you, friends. I need like one of those Nerf guns. And I just like go. Right? It'll be fun. So let's talk about this sequence of how we describe the new person. And what I've done is I put it on one of these guys here.
So we don't just need to know the order instead of that?
Well, I'm just wanting you to understand what they are, right? So you start out with two separate things, right? Oocyte and sperm. They come together and they make the zygote. The zygote is that first combination. If you're looking at page 540, you can see it there. That's that initial, and I'll show you what page 540 looks like. Page 540 is here. This one. Shh. And the zygote is that first 2 days, that first combination. Then they start to divide. That single cell starts to divide, and we call that cleavage. Yes, that's where that comes from, the division, cleavage, right? But the cell doesn't get any bigger. It's basically still the same size of the oocyte, but it's been dividing into pieces, right? As it keeps dividing, now we start calling it the morula. The morula is this cell that has made numerous divisions. The zygote is just that initial combination of the two of them together. Once it starts dividing and undergoing this cleavage, we call it the morula. About day 6 or 7, it implants into the uterus. We call that the blastocyte. So now it's gone from being just this kind of free-floating egg and sperm together, moving down the uterine tube into the uterus. It truthfully even hangs out in the uterus for a couple of days before it decides, oh, here's a good spot, let's camp here. And it attaches to the wall. And then once it attaches, that's what we call it, the blastocyte. From there, we go into this next stage we call the embryo. The embryo is from the 2nd week to the 8th week. And what's happening here is that cell, that blastocyte, is splitting into 2 pieces. Number 1 is the placenta. Number 2 is the actual new person that is growing. And that new person is what we call the gastrula. Are you with me? So the blastocyte is when it implants. Once it implants, it continues to grow. At about 2 weeks, we call it this embryo. And it's got 2 pieces, the placenta and the gastrula, the actual person. From about 8 weeks, at about 8 weeks, so this is only 2 months, right? At about 2 months, you can recognizably see all the characteristics of a human. Remember the video we just watched? You could see from a very small age, is a word I wanted to use, but level of development, it looks like a person, right? It's got eyes, it's got hands, it's got hearts, it's got feet. Well, heart singular, but yeah. So the basic structure is recognizable. Once it reaches that point, that's when we call it a fetus, which is what we call it the rest of the way until it's born. Are you with me? Questions there? I know I just put the order on your sheet there, but I wanted to give you more details here. And this is all in your textbook, but it's not easily accessible, so that's why I figured I'd give you the heads up here. Any questions there? No questions? I see a bunch of you still writing. That's why I'm not moving it off the board here yet. Technology. Okay. We talked about the hormonal changes, right? Remember relaxin. What's relaxin's job? It relaxes you, man. It's like this nice weed that just makes you... No. Yeah, no. Relaxes what?
Your hips.
Your hips, allowing them to expand. Allowing your back, the vertebrae, to expand, to give more curve in your spine, to give more room for the baby. Right? You know what the placenta is? That sac that's around the baby, right? And actually, remember, it's not mother's tissue. It's not the uterus. The placenta is what was formed from what? What was the thing that formed the placenta? No, it's the yolk sac, but no, on the list I just gave you. Right, at the embryo, right? That's when it starts to split into these 2 phases, the placenta and the gastrula, the actual person, right? Okay? So that's what the placenta is. And remember, that has to come out. That's what the afterbirth is, right? You have this other piece that has to come out after the baby comes. We talked about the amniotic fluid. That's the fluid that's inside that placenta. What does it do? Cushions the baby, protects the baby, sure. The baby is truthfully breathing that in and out. It's swallowing that fluid and working through the digestive system. So it's kind of like, I don't know, it's practice. Practice fluid. As the skin cells mature, there are some waste, skin cells that die off there as well as the baby continues to grow. The umbilical cord. Great picture. We didn't talk about this really at all. But there's a whole section in your book that talks about the baby's circulation. Because remember, the mother provides all the blood for the baby, It starts to produce its own, yes. But it gets circulated through the mother. So that's what the umbilical cord is. There's an artery and a vein, both, that basically it runs in and rolls through the system. There's truthfully like these holes in the system where the umbilical cord comes into it. Yeah. And those then, after you cut the umbilical cord, those have to close up. Right? If it doesn't, then that can be a problem. You can have these holes that remain in your heart that if they're not closed, they have to go in surgically and repair those things. Because otherwise, it won't work.
But the umbilical cord, it goes in and attaches to all these places?
It does. I mean, you can follow through here where it does. So the artery comes up and attaches almost right into the liver here. That's what this is here. And then rolls up into this right side of your heart is where the oxygenated blood is coming into. That's different than how it is in you and I, right? All the unoxygenated comes in here. And it kind of just bypasses right across. The diagram shows very nicely where things move. Your textbook talks, I don't want you all to know about that. So, if you go on, you'll have to learn that. But yeah, it has this whole different way of moving that's different than how yours and I's does. And that has to then change once that umbilical cord is removed. Yes?
Are there like nerves in the umbilical cord so you can feel them?
No. It's a great question. There's not nervous tissue there. So no, it's not painful. What was the adjective the lady used?
It was funky.
It's chunky, yeah. It does. It doesn't really crunch, but it's a thick tube. I don't know if you've ever cut like really thick rubber tubing. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Because I cut both of the cords for my children. It's fun. They put two little clamps, one on each side, and one on the mother's side, one on the baby's side, and then you cut it. And that's where you get this little piece that hangs off your belly button for usually a couple weeks before it falls off. Yeah, it dries up and falls off. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot more disgusting things coming out of that baby. So, yes, sir.
What makes the difference between an idiot and a Audi?
Sure. It is completely genetic. Completely genetic. Audis, last I saw, I researched this because my son has an Audi. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if you'll be embarrassed. I told you it's on YouTube now. Alex has an Audi. But I want to say it's like 10% of the population. It's not very much. But my understanding is it's totally genetics. Totally genetics.
I have the cutest Audi though.
You do. It's so soft.
It's so
so
cute.
squishy.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's so
Moving on quickly.
Is it cute?
It is cute. It's cute.
Oh, good. All right, so the birthing process. You got a nice detailed look at that with our video selection. The point is, by the time it's about finished, the baby has turned in this head down position. Okay?
I know, he looks so
Yeah. Well, I mean, babies are big, and there's not a ton of room in there. Which understands when they kick, right? Like this would be, boom, let me kick your ribs. Yeah, let me kick your stomach. Let me kick, No, it's not very fun. That's why you want someone who is ready, like they're ready. By 8 or 9 months, this mother is ready. Let's get this baby out. In case you weren't sure, you can see here's placenta, right? Inside the uterus. There's the umbilical cord from that placenta to the baby. Here's the cervix, right? Opening of the uterus down into the vagina. There's just some. Remember I showed you this one yesterday? The different sizes. So again, think of contractions. What are contractions? It's these walls basically trying to shorten. It's like contractile, right? Like a muscle, right? Muscle shortens. That's how you bend your elbow, right? This muscle shortens. And so what that's doing is it's then pulling this apart. Do you understand? So that's what this effacing means. Oops, let me get rid of that. Effacing means, see how it's nice and thick here, and it starts getting super thin by the end there? Let me remove my ink. Right? So it starts off very thick. See how thick this is here? And then by the end, it's just this tiny little thin piece. Because it's been stretched. And once it's effaced, then it starts to dilate, starts to open up, that opening. I found this slide, I think only about 2 years ago, but I think it's just a classic slide. Well, I mean, I don't know how big 10 centimeters is off the top of my head.
Classic.
Right? Yeah, but now I know. Oh, it's about the size of a bagel. Yeah, about 2.5 inches.
It's like a camera.
Yeah. Or a soda can, 7 inches, right? Impressive. I think. Impressive. Okay, so then here's the birthing process itself.
Oh wow, that's wow.
So, of course, this mother is laying down. So you can see, here's the baby. And can you see that he has to make like this little turn to get through here? It doesn't always come with the head up this way. Actually, my son was the opposite direction. He was like turned 180 degrees. And his nose was caught right here. This is the bone, right? Pubic symphysis. It was like stuck right here. So he had this little divot on his nose right here, where like he had been pushed up against there. And then finally, we had to use a little vacuum, kind of help pull him out a little bit. Yeah, and he turned out fine. Yeah.
You got vacuum?
My head was too big.
This thing has like vacuum.
Yes.
Could you like, I don't know, like break your back?
Shh. Can what now?
Like break your back?
Sure. So there could be some damage. Yes. But frankly, that's why the baby is not made of hard bone like you and I are. That's why their head has got all these multiple plates, right? With openings in them so that it can squish and turn and change shape. Yeah. Their bones are mostly like cartilage, like your nose cartilage. That's more what their bones are like as a fetus. So that they are more flexible, pliable, bendable. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when women die in childbirth,
The biggest one is bleeding. The biggest one is bleeding. So remember that once this is done, and usually it would come more toward the end here. I shouldn't say that. One of the things, realize again, this placenta is attached to the wall of the uterus, right? That placenta has to detach and come out. Detach sounds so formal. Like it almost gets ripped. You with me? Like it's being pulled off of there. That's the way it's supposed to go. You birth it out. And that bleeds, right? Now, your body does lots of things to help control that bleeding, but perhaps it won't stop. My mother-in-law, my wife's mom, nearly died giving birth to my wife for this exact reason. She was bleeding. And,
Wait till it detaches itself?
well, it's not like they just rip it off. But in that process of it being birthed, that after-birth process, it has to come off there. Because it's a foreign substance. If you just left it in, it would cause infections and problems. But it will. But I'm saying it still has to detach. Well, not that someone always rips and pulls it off, but it has to detach. So yeah, I mean, like she needed 8 units of blood transfused, which is a lot of blood. Yeah. They had packed her in ice to try and stop the bleeding as much as they could. Yeah, she almost died. And this was, only...
And she had another kid after?
She did. Yeah. This is amazing, right? Isn't it? Yeah. Yes?
what if you have a C-section? Do the doctor just pull it?
Right. So I really should get pictures of that. How a C-section would work, I don't...
YouTube, I've seen one.
Well, yes. No, you can see any of it. It would basically be like this. So again, this is a side profile view, right? They would take and make an incision, and it's very low now. They do it below below your underwear line so that, like when you're wearing a swimsuit, you can't see the scar. They didn't used to do that. They used to make these big, huge incisions. But not anymore. It's much, much smaller. So they make an incision here, and then, yes, it goes down through, all the way down into here, and then they would literally just pull the baby out. And the same thing. They would remove the placenta as well. What's that? Well, the umbilical cord is attached to the placenta. They would just take all that pieces out. Yep. So, and there's a number of reasons. Maybe the baby isn't turned the right way. Maybe sometimes the placenta is attached too low down here, so it's almost like blocking the entrance, or the exit, I guess. Blocking the cervix, blocking the vagina. Placenta previa is what that's called. It's too far forward. Questions? You're finding some videos, are you?
I'm about to find a video right
Oh yeah, no, there's plenty of stuff on there, definitely.
Oh my.
What's the number of percentage that women that die from childbirth?
In the U.S., it would be pretty low. I don't know, to be honest. I would say it's single digits, probably even low single digits, but I don't know.
So like, wow, so 9 or something?
I would say it would be low. I don't know. I truthfully don't know. That was worth a laugh. That was worth a laugh.
I'm just being honest though. It's
I don't know.
like, you said single number. Pretty like something.
I truthfully don't know. Oh, we got time. Let's see if I can find you. See if you can find it before I can. I'm curious.
I already got it. It's loading right now.
I want to know mother mortality rate in childbirth.
Forget it. I was looking up C-section.
I was looking at that's the scar count.
So, at least according to Wikipedia here, not that I'd say that's the most, but as far as quick numbers, 275,000 women died each year, not in the U.S., worldwide, during childbirth.
What was it? I'm sorry.
250,000.
Oh, so not single digits.
No, that's not you die in childbirth and you don't have a girl.
But that's not percentage.
I'm sorry?
Actual.
In childbirth and not using a girl, or is it just that you bleed out?
Like,
No, you're not going to die from the pain.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't think that would affect it either way. United States, the maternal death rate averages 9.1 deaths per 100,000 births.
oh wow.
That was from until 86. Shh. Rose rapidly to 14 per 100,000 in 2000 and 24 per 100,000 in 2008. So 650 women die each year. No, that's very few. Very few. No, in other words, compared to the births, it's a very small number. Yeah. And bleeding is the most common cause. Good, what else do we have? Shh.
Can that happen if you're just, what's the one where you bleed quickly, where you get cut, you bleed really quickly?
Oh, if you're anemic. I mean, not anemic. What's the word? Yeah, your blood doesn't clot very well. Oh, absolutely.
So then that would happen.
They wouldn't, yes, that would be a high-risk pregnancy. Definitely.
If you're anemic?
And anemic means not enough blood. I can't think of what it means when it won't clot.
Look at the one where they made a sandwich out of it. Try it. That one.
Good. Shh. Friends, what's the role of oxytocin
Start contraction.
Good. Shh. You remember this from the video, right? Oxytocin is what starts the contractions. Starts the uterine contractions.
And guys get that off too.
What do you mean?
Like, maybe your heart rate goes up.
Oh, sure. Oh, yes. Yeah, lots of other things like that happen. What is colostrum?
Oh, she said it's boob leakage.
Boob leakage. It has to do with breast milk, but it's not that.
Oh my gosh.
It's all good. It's all good.
Wait, what?
Colostrum. Come back to me, friends. Colostrum.
I'm gonna find it right now.
It's the first milk.
Okay, never mind.
The first milk that is breastfed to the baby.
This is the nasty.
What's important about it? No, you're thinking of the first feces, the meconium. We're talking about colostrum. Why? It's a good question.
In case you want to keep.
There you go. Show it to your friends.
This is a soccer trophy, and this is colossum.
Well, the colostrum is the milk he drinks. The meconium. Right.
Feces.
Right, it's perfect. Good. The colostrum is it's a very thick, fatty milk. Its primary function is to give antibiotics. Big doses of antibodies to the baby. Because now, for the first time, the baby is being exposed to viruses and bacteria and germs that the mother is not, right? Usually they share the same thing because they're very closely in contact, but not always. So it's a very important passage of immunity, as well as lots of fat and good food.
Do they make a
For the
specific
baby.
formula for that?
That is a great question. I don't know. I don't know. I'm telling you now, you'll be disappointed, I know, that you don't have to worry about the genetics.
Oh, yes.
We just don't have time. We don't have time. So you can cross off genetics. Oberkaby, bell's about to ring, so we'll call that a day. Adios.